Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight. Restraint versus weakness. That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. The Obama-Putin situation is a life lesson for all of us. If you show weakness in your life, evil people will take advantage. That will happen. But there's a difference between weakness and restraint. And therein lies the real story of President Obama's foreign policy. The wars in Iraq and Afghanistan have caused great harm to this country on a number of levels. Every fair-minded person knows that. America's motivations were not bad, but the outcome certainly did not strengthen the country. So, when President Obama took office, he wanted détente with the world, playing up America as part of the big mosaic, rather than the lone superpower policeman. To many Americans, that sounded great. To others, it sounded weak. Over the years, Mr. Obama has been confronted with evil. The mullahs in Iran, for example, trying to develop a nuclear weapon. If they do so, the world will be in grave danger because fanatical jihadists would certainly use nukes if they could. In 2010, President Obama warned Iran.
And as Iran's leaders continue to ignore their obligations, there should be no doubt they too will face growing consequences. That is a promise.
To his credit, the president led sanctions against Iran, but to his discredit, he pulled the sanctions too early. And now nobody knows what will happen with Iran's nukes. In Syria, the tyrant Assad killed innocent civilians by gassing them.
I want to make it absolutely clear to Assad and those under his command, the world is watching. The use of chemical weapons is and would be totally unacceptable. And if you make the tragic mistake of using these weapons, there will be consequences and you will be held accountable.
And Assad did use the weapons, but there were no consequences, and he has not been held accountable. That's weakness. Finally, Putin's aggression in Ukraine.
What I've said consistently is that each time Russia takes these kinds of steps that are designed to destabilize Ukraine and violate their sovereignty, that there are going to be consequences.
But again, there have been few consequences for Putin, and the situation could erupt into war at any time. The truth is that at this point in history, President Obama is powerless to stop evil aggression. It's not his fault alone. His party, the Democrats, want no part of confrontation, and some Republicans are isolationist as well. Generally speaking, there is no will in America to fight evil unless we're directly attacked. The result is danger and a weakening of presidential power. Mr. Obama is seen around the world as a man who will accommodate, not right wrongs. Therefore, the power of America has declined. We cannot stop aggression. Our allies are not even confident we'll help them if they get into trouble. The situation we have now is almost exactly the same as what President Jimmy Carter experienced in the late 1970s. The question is, will the next president be able to restore American power as Ronald Reagan did? And that's the memo. Now, for the top story tonight, the president did an interview with CBS correspondent Major Garrett yesterday. When asked about Putin and Russia, he said this.
They're not interested in any kind of military confrontation with us, understanding that our conventional forces are significantly superior to the Russians. We don't need a war. What we do need is a recognition that countries like Ukraine can have relationships with a whole range of their neighbors.
I don't know what that means. With us now, Fox News Chief White House Correspondent Henry. You can explain to me. I don't know what he means.
Well,
I know.
You know, in fairness to the president, there's no easy solution here in Ukraine or Syria, or someone would have had it months ago in the case of Ukraine.
So why doesn't he just say that? I don't know what he's saying. Do you know what he's saying? He just talks. Words come out and go,
consequences, and there's no consequences.
Right.
He knows that he really can't have consequences in the short term in Ukraine, largely because the Europeans are chicken about this. Let's call it.
Why doesn't he just say it then?
He has to admit that, and he's not admitting that.
Why?
And that's his problem, because now Putin does look like a madman. The president's right that Putin looks ridiculous. He's saying things. He's moving around. He's got troops. He looks crazy, right?
But
at the
he
end of the
doesn't
day,
care.
the president doesn't have anything to do to stop him. He was on the phone with Putin this week. He was on the phone a few weeks ago. And after that phone call a few weeks ago when I was in Saudi Arabia, the White House made a big deal about, in that call, President Obama said to Putin, you have to put a reaction to the U.S. peace plan in writing. We need it in writing. And they made a big deal out of that. Have you seen that plan?
No, of course not.
So you don't follow up, then you do look.
Here, but let's get back to the interview last night with CBS. Okay, so he does the interview with CBS, and obviously everybody's wanting to know about Ukraine and Putin and all of this. And then, with all due respect to Major Garrett and to President Obama, if I had been sitting there across from him last night, do you think that that would have happened?
I think you would have kept pressing him. I seem to remember the Super Bowl went on for a little bit. And,
okay, but it would have been more than pressing him.
Yeah.
It would have been more than that, because then I would have said, you know what? This is going out of control here. And I don't understand what you're saying, because I sincerely did not understand what that answer was.
I think you have the president on that point, where I don't think you have him as, so what's next? What do you want him to say? What can
I don't
you
want
do?
him to say anything. I'm not in business to tell President Obama how to do his job.
But in your talking points memo, you said, what about the super cop? That he doesn't want America to be a superpower. What does a superpower do in this case when you got a madman who's not listening? You got European allies who don't want to hit him with real sanctions.
Okay. I've already put forth what I would have done a long time ago, and that was tell American banks and credit card companies not to do business with Russia. Immediately put that down. And that would stop Russian tourism and business travel immediately.
It might hurt our economy, too.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. You have to do short-term pain to reimpose authority in the world. But just listen to this, Henry. I'm not running for president here, and I'm not a macroeconomic genius. But if MasterCard, American Express, and Visa refuse to take receipts from Russia, nobody can go there. Is that hard? And you don't need Merkel, and you don't need the socialists in France or Great Britain to sign off on it.
But then you got America acting alone again.
Good.
That's what you want.
Good.
Yeah.
Because there is a good and evil. We all know Putin's evil, right? Is there any?
That.
Okay, we all know.
Yeah.
All right. So you heard him right there, and that Russian economy is already.
So then you hurt the Russian economy.
Yeah.
What if he does something crazier then? What if he then takes?
What if he does something crazier?
Well, he hasn't taken the 80,000 troops on the border and gone in. What
That's weakness.
Yeah.
You can't run an effective foreign policy thinking, well, what if he does something else?
But then if Putin starts slaughtering more people, we're going to send troops in?
I don't know about that. I'd have to see what the assessment is.
Yeah.
All right? But I'll tell you what, I know what the assessment would be if you stop the banking and the credit card stuff.
It would have an impact.
Big, all right? And then if whatever Putin does, he does. But at least you, being the United States and the world leader, had made a stand. We're not making a stand, Henry. And look, I'm not expecting you to criticize the president. You have to cover him.
Yeah, I do.
And I respect that. And you do. I think you're one of the best in the business.
Appreciate
if you get rid of the pocket hanky, you might be the best.
This is a nice one, by the way, just for you.
Yeah,
the first time in person.
But as a guy who's a history guy, you know, a history guy, all right? You have to impose authority if you are on the right side, the side of justice. If you don't, you have anarchy, and that's what we have in this world.
Get beyond Ukraine and look at Syria. There have been tens of thousands of people being slaughtered for over 3 years. Now, President Obama hasn't done a lot, but you know what? The international community doesn't seem to care.
Right, we can't worry about those pinheads. Right. As soon as Assad gassed, do you remember what I said?
Yeah.
Do you remember what I said?
I don't know what you specifically said, but the president said he would.
I would have destroyed every Syrian airfield.
Yeah.
And it would have taken 3 or 4 hours. American planes would have bombed every airfield. That means Assad has no air power, and he can't get anything in.
The president walked up to the line of airstrikes there.
He should have done it.
Almost a year ago, and he didn't do it?
He should have done it. Because you have to impose some kind of justice, or you have, and I want everybody to understand this, anarchy, which is what you have in the world now. It's going to get worse. Last word.
I think you're right, because that this is a problem for the rest of the president's presidency, because if it continues to play out like this in Ukraine, and it doesn't look like there are any consequences for Putin after the president says that, just like in Syria, no consequences, it's going to define his foreign policy.
Well, what do you see what Iran does? What do you see? That's what's coming down the road, because that thing comes up in June. All right.
As to whether or not they're really going to end the nuclear program.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right, Ed Henry, you going with President Obama?
I'll be in Asia next week. I'll be on the Factor from Asia.
Okay, run up a big tab over there.
I'll bring back a little pocket hanky.
No. That offends
them. They make silk ones over there.
That offends Asians.
They have silk ones
No. Pocket hankies offend Asians over there.
I'll go easy.
You don't do that. Okay. Next on a rundown, new poll.